Call this meeting to order. We'll open up in a word of prayer. Commissioner Laird, would you please?
When I was asked to do a prayer, I thought I should look into prayers a little bit. And what I found out is there's one prayer that's prayed, they say is prayed more than any other prayer on the planet since the year 700. And so I did some research. It's very short, very powerful prayer. Here it is. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on us. Amen.
Thank you. Can we have roll call? Here.
Present.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you for coming this afternoon. Eric, I'll let you get started off since you got a hard stop.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. As you know, Eric Nelson, currently the chair of the Natrona Collective Health Trust. Seated to my immediate left is Beth Worthen, our CEO, and next to her is Kylie Gibson, our CFO. We're happy to be here today with you to give an updated report on what's going on with the trust. As the chairman did indicate, I have another work commitment at 3 o'clock, a Civil Service Commission meeting, so I do have a hard stop. So I won't take too much time with formalities. I believe on Friday there was a packet that was submitted by the trust that contained quite a bit of information. As you know, typically at this point in the year, the trust comes and gives a report on the previous year. We have retained PYA, an outside consultant, to help us with our monitoring obligations vis-a-vis Banner. I would report, I think that is going very well. We're going to have an update from them here in the very near future, but that work is ongoing, and I think it's been very fruitful thus far. Would also acknowledge a letter that we received from the commission late last week. Candidly, I didn't see that until I think this weekend. It was spring break, so I was out of town chasing kiddos. And so we are in the process of reviewing those specific requests, and we'll be responding to those specific requests here in the near future. And so with that, I guess I would turn it over to Beth for any further comments from our CEO, and certainly then we're here to answer any questions.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, Beth Worthen, CEO of the Natrona Collective Health Trust. As Eric mentioned, we do have the preliminary report. Essentially what it is all of the obligations that we have related to the transaction, our report to you, to the county, minus those that are related to the monitoring of Banner Wyoming Medical Center. We know that there have been some requests for information and felt like it was important for us to give you exactly what we're required to report to you in a timely manner, beyond that which we are going to be doing with Banner Wyoming Medical Center. So happy to entertain questions related to that material or anything else that might be on your mind. Thank you.
Any questions for either Beth or Eric? When do you have an anticipated date for getting the rest of that information to us that we'd requested? And on the audit, if you can give us some information on when you might have the results of those also, we'd appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, the audit for the organization, the Collective Health Trust, is in the preliminary report.
Okay. All right. What about I know it was short notice on the stuff that you had last week.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I think as soon as we can convene as an executive committee and a board to discuss, I think there's a number of specific requests. There was some mention of potentially doing those in executive session, so I think getting the proper guidance on that, I would hope that we could get back to you with, in a week, but I don't want to promise anything hard and fast. It's going to depend on how quickly we can convene and the trust board discuss it.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions that you would like to ask about any of that? Quiet group today. So when will you sit down and start deciding what you're going to, what groups you're going to be giving to this next year?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we're actually in our spring cycle right now. In terms of our grant recipients, is that?
Yes.
So we're in our spring cycle right now, and going through those applications and those requests. You can see, the report from the previous year in your preliminary report. And that list, I believe, is on page 28. And then we have a spring cycle and a fall cycle, for 2025.
Okay. Can you provide us any information on any of the oversight and working with Banner as far as what you're doing and how you're doing that?
Mr. Chairman, we actually do have a little bit of an update. You'll see it on page 33 and 34 of the preliminary report, in terms of the work of the independent monitor. So they have been working both with us and with Banner Wyoming Medical Center, and we're receiving regular updates from them. We anticipate that their work will be still according to the timeline that we set out to you in the request for an extension. And so that'll be toward the end there of June, and then we'll report to you in July with regard to their report and the trust's I guess, assessment of the compliance for the post-closing covenants for Banner.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Nicolason?
Thanks for being here today. I have a couple of questions. Did PYA meet with the Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees when they were here earlier this year?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Nicolason, I don't believe that they did. But they, as they're independent, I don't know who all they have met with.
Did they meet with this Board of Commissioners? I wasn't at any meeting where PYA was here.
Mr. Chairman, or Commissioner Nicolason, not to my knowledge. I don't know who they're meeting with. They're independent.
But I think either on your website or the article I saw, you had to meet with stakeholders. I would think that the Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees and the Board of County Commissioners would be stakeholders to the Banner Collective county agreements. Would you agree with that?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Nicolason, I can certainly
You'd agree we're stakeholders?
I can certainly provide them with your information, and they can certainly reach out to you. Absolutely.
Well, it seems that if you're advertising they've met with stakeholders, that you would have had them meet with those two stakeholders as well.
So, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Gleason, I would say I would agree. I mean, I think the county commission, you are stakeholders, and as is every resident of this county. I think the tension, if you will, is how deep into the weeds do we want to get in directing their work versus letting them be truly independent. And so, to your point, I absolutely would agree and concede that you all are stakeholders. I personally, speaking on my own behalf, would think that would make sense for them to reach out to you. In our upcoming meeting, I certainly would convey that the desire, from what I'm hearing from the commissioners, to have the ability and the opportunity to meet with PYA. So I think I agree with you. I guess where I struggle a little bit, and we'll have to consult with our consultants and independent folks to decide. We don't want to taint the process, and we don't want to look like that it's staff driven or that it's board driven or that we're, trying to reach any kind of predetermined outcome, if you will. And so I don't know if that allays your fears or answers your question, but I certainly would be willing to carry that water.
They're not fears, Mr. Nelson. You're a representative. You're our one remaining appointee. You sit as chairman. You used to sit as treasurer of the Collective Health Trust. And I'm surprised, frankly, that you didn't either bring that to our attention or that you didn't already discuss it internally with the Collective Trust folks or PYA. I would be disappointed, to say the least, if these findings come out in June and PYA hasn't conferred with the Memorial Hospital Board of Trustees or the county commissioners. Basically, if you come and say these are the findings, I'm going to think they're incomplete. So the other thing, you talk about not wanting to control the process. As I understand it, the portal that's available is through your collective's website. So I've heard people question whether or not the collective is the gatekeeper or the guardian of information that goes to PYA or reviews it. So can you speak to that, Ms. Worthen?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Nicolason, we do have an email address, and everything that comes into that goes to PYA.
Does the Collective Health Trust have the ability to monitor or even see what information is provided?
I don't know. I can certainly get you
There are
that
people
information.
that have talked to me about being concerned that if their complaint is about the Collective Trust, but the Collective Trust receives it and then sends it on to PYA, that's the gatekeeper function that they're not entirely comfortable with. And so I'd ask you to get back to the commission on that. And if those are fears that can be allayed, then I would appreciate that occurring. And if there's corrective action to be taken or reassurances that can be made, that'd be appreciated as well.
Certainly. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Blair.
Mr. Nelson, what is your definition of a stakeholder? I just want to make sure that I grasp it if we're talking about the same thing.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Laird. I think that in this context, a stakeholder is anybody that one would have a reason to visit the Wyoming Medical Center or seek medical care or services in Natrona County. I think a stakeholder would be any resident of Natrona County. And in my view, I think a stakeholder would be any elected official that represents the residents of Natrona County. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So these gentlemen and ladies out here would be stakeholders, I assume,
I would concur. I would agree with that.
since group.
Yep.
And then potential people that are just residents here that use the hospital. Okay. That's what I was thinking too. So thank you very much.
Any other questions? I do think that it would be good for PYA to reach out to us, and whether we have it as a special session or something else instead of just a regular meeting. I think that's something that would give us an opportunity to speak with them and also with the hospital board as well. So I appreciate that. Any other questions about anything? Commissioner Nicolason?
Ms. Worthen, how many vacancies do you have on the board other than the one that is to be filled by the county commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Nicolason, we don't. Our only vacancy is the county appointee.
I'll give you the chance to weigh in on what kind of need that you feel your board has at this time, so that we can consider that when looking at our candidates that we interview.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Nicolason, you know, from my perspective, I'm never one to say we need this particular skill set or another. I think anybody that's, you know, willing to roll their sleeves up, come to the board, do the work, and not be afraid to bring their own opinion. I mean, as now the chair, I welcome divergent views. I welcome thinking outside the box, and you know, somebody that's passionate about the county and healthcare in the county. And I have full confidence that this commission will, you know, vet applicants and appoint somebody that, you know, will bring substantial value to that board.
Have a follow-up. Mr.
Commissioner Baird.
Nicolasen's finished. Do you object to a surgeon getting on the board?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, absolutely not.
Okay, I have one that's contacted me that I think's a pretty good guy. I think all of these gentlemen know who it is. I'm not gonna mention the name now because I've only spoken to an assistant that said he was interested, so I wanna follow up on that, but thank you very much.
Yeah, we got any other questions? Going once, going twice. Well, have you got anything else that you would like to add?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I don't. Certainly we'll be back in contact relatively shortly, as I indicated, with regard to your specific requests. As you go through the interim report, you know, feel free to reach out with any questions, either myself, Beth, and we'll try to answer them as best we can.
Well, if there's no other questions, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Porter, would you mind coming up and just kind of giving us a follow-up on some of the interactions you've had with Collective Health Trust, since we have some extra time? That's what happens when you come to a meeting like this.
Chairman, that's why I came. So
I appreciate that. So
Yep.
if you would, just mind kind of giving us some of your input, some of the, how you deal with the Collective Health Trust and what they do with Banner and what you do with them.
Mr. Chairman, if I understand correctly, again, just to restate the question, is how we interact with the trust.
Yes.
And so, Mr. Chairman and members of the County Commission, we've always had a very good relationship with the trust. They are good partners of ours. You know, we give annual review to them, where we present to them before we present to you our annual review. And then anytime that they have questions of me, I've made myself available to come to their board meetings. Beth on a regular basis will reach out to me, send me a text message, or give me a call regarding anything she might hear in the community. And I'm always making myself available to answer any questions they may have. You know, we have a lot of collaboration on many community issues. So we've worked really hard with them as we try to address the behavioral health crisis that this county is experiencing and the lack of resources. When I first got here, they asked me to head up a coalition of trying to pull together key stakeholders to address behavioral health, WBI, CWCC, independent counselors, and I initiated that, but it was well out of my wheelhouse and really what I have the time to accomplish. And the trust took that over and has really been pushing that forward and making sure that we continue to meet. And I think that I think they can report to you that we've had some successes in terms of additional resources for both the prison, the court systems. we worked really closely with CWCC, the Trust and Wyoming Medical Center, and WBI on crisis intervention. Is a great experience example of that. A town this size should have crisis intervention. And now CWCC, with our support, has actually initiated that. So we've actually had some success and actually meeting people in the moment, as opposed to getting them into the system or having them be arrested, and then they get into the system, get delayed, they lose their job, their homes. So it's been a good collaboration. Work with them kind of in parallel on other issues. We both have a presence on the Homeless Coalition and other community organizations as we try to represent and try to be aware of what's going on in the community and how we can help.
Question.
Wait a minute. Did you receive the letter that we sent to you last week?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I was out of town last week, so I got it yesterday when I got back, and I'm already working with the trust on a response and with my team.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to know. It's just, I just want to make sure you did receive it, and it didn't go out until late last week. And so, do you have an anticipated time frame that you may be able to get us those answers?
Having just read it yesterday, I would imagine, as Eric said, within a week or two. You know, it's a matter of scheduling and making sure we can get everybody together and make sure that we're coordinating this well.
Okay, all right. All right, Commissioner Laird?
Two things, Lance, and one of them's a compliment. There's some kindness has been shown to some of your patients that I can't really address fully, but I appreciate what the hospital has done there. Secondly, my comment is that probably doesn't need to be said, but I just hope that there's an extra kindness for our elderly people to come in, how long they may have to wait and that kind of thing. I'm concerned about our elderly because some of them are a little fearful. So I think you understand. Now, do we have a neurosurgeon at the hospital or neurology department?
So, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Laird, so we have both neurology services as well as neurosurgery services. We've never lost those services. It's changed. And we've kind of discussed what that looks like in previous commission annual reports. I'd be more than willing to sit down with you and kind of go through how that has evolved, what it looks like. But in fact, as a matter of fact, this is part of our annual report that I'm really actually looking forward to presenting to you in July. Is we have signed a full-time neurosurgeon, Dr. Denise Abrams, who will be starting in September. She comes to us with a great experience and I think will really add to this community and moving here full-time. And it's a big win for the community.
Yeah, I heard that. Some people thought highly of her, but it's not till September, huh?
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner Laird, yes, oftentimes if you're recruiting somebody from another area, they have to wrap up their patient care. They have to give notice to their current employer. They have family situations, and in this situation, she had a recent death in her family, and has to, she has to give us a certain amount of notice to her current employer. So oftentimes our hands are tied.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. Appreciate your time. We're running a little ahead of schedule, but Anna, if you want to come on up, we'll get started.
Are you sure you guys don't have anything to say today? All right, thank you.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon. Long time no
Mr.
see.
Chair. Pardon me?
Long time no see.
I know it's been a little while. So thank you, Mr. Chairman and County Commissioners, for the opportunity to come and provide an update and actions taken regarding the funding streams and invoice reconciliation. During the month of March, we did have some activity, clarification of the different invoices that were coming from different groups. We've determined like the different invoice codes that were being used, 2 of which were directly tied to commitments made by the health department. These commitments were approved by the Board of Health in March and August of '24, and they're in regards to medical equipment procurement and the FF&E fixtures, furniture, and equipment. Those 2 specific areas are a total of $154,000, which is separate from what would be on any of the funding that we have identified. So we've isolated those out, improved the numbering system, and distinguished invoices for future billing, so the issue of misidentified information should not occur anymore. An initial reimbursement check to the county for $10,000 was issued as soon as possible, and receipt of the $20,500 was also issued today. So we will be on track here moving forward, bringing all reimbursements up to date and everything square. The funding sources, it is not an easy process at all. There are 7 different funding streams supporting this project. Some of those are the 4 active grants, which would be the county ARPA funds, which are the $15.5 million, the SLIB ARPA funds, which was $4.5 million, the congressional directed spending at $1.5 million, and then CNCHD's reserve account for $1 million. However, there's additional funding sources that include a past Natrona County 1% funds, internal CNCHD funds, and future allocations from the county. But we have ongoing reconciliation and oversight, and due to the complexity of this, we have a working group that has met in the past twice since we started doing the different funding streams, but have now identified a consistent date every month. It'll be in the middle of the month so that we can reconcile things that have come in and kind of be prepared for what's coming in the future. So there'll be the financial and administrative assistant as needed. So I appreciate the work that has been done with the Treasury, County Clerk, and Tim Shank for developing a very multi-complex tracking spreadsheet, but it's instrumental in maintaining who's paying for what items and financial accuracy and oversight. As with that, there's reporting that is required for the federal grants. So each one has a responsibility with that. So as you know, and I'm going to turn it over to Tim here momentarily, we're on time, under budget. The total cost still remains at $38.7 million. And I think I'll turn it over to Tim.
And before you do, quick question. With so many different funding streams that we're looking at, for the federal grants, who's responsible for completion of those and the paperwork that's associated with it? Because we don't want to get in trouble with any of those agencies or any of those groups in any form or fashion. We want to make sure that all our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed on everything.
Absolutely.
So have we got individuals that are positively identified that will be tracking that and
Yes.
and following through on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have our county representative that obviously kind of runs all the different ones, but the county ARPA funds, Nick is providing that support in that regard. I was able to provide the SLIB ARPA fund reporting. Jared is responsible for the congressional directed spending, and then obviously we're responsible for the CNCHD reserve. So all of the reporting has been assigned and delegated to specific individuals to oversee.
Okay.
And understanding the county system where none of us are in it, truly, has been a learning experience, but I think we have a true understanding. We have a great working relationship with.
Well, it's difficult enough when you have one funding stream. You have several that you're pulling from and you're doing that. It's very easy to lose track of things or put things in the wrong place inadvertently. So I just want to make sure that we have that lined out before we moved any further along. So
Thank you. Tim has put an extensive amount of work into lining out the different people that we have invoices from, keeping track of those, everything from Black Hills Energy to MOA and Sampson. So some days I wonder how he does it, but he's done a great job trying to get on top of all of that so we truly understand where we're at with each group as well as each funding source.
Did Mr. Nicolason, did you have a?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I've been at those meetings with the small group, and I think that we are much better coordinated now. We might have one change on the person responsible for the small federal 1.5 grant, but I'd also do a shout out to our clerk, Tracy Good. She's helping to manage all of it, or all of us, in a good
Well, you
way.
got to keep her happy.
Good way. So, thank you.
That's a good thing. So, okay. If we don't have any other questions, then I'll let you go ahead.
Okay.
Take off, Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Anna took all my words away from me, but no, that's okay. I appreciate, number one, those of you that were able to attend today to tour the building, get a sense of how the construction is progressing. I believe, and as about everybody does on the team, that it's coming along very nicely. Sampson feels they're maybe close to a month ahead of schedule at this point in the project. Of course, we still have 10 months to go, but I think it's coming along very well, and they've made it through some of these areas that you typically have questions about as you come out of the ground and start doing some framing and things. But so from that standpoint, again, the project does remain on budget. Our GMP total project cost to date with Sampson was 31.5 million. Soft costs, which I can give you a rundown on what's included in those, is at 7.2 million for a total project cost of 38.7 and change. We have pushed hard looking for alternatives to reduce some of these costs, and to date, we've come up with contract changes of a reduction of about 340,000. So that's putting our adjusted total project at just under 38.4 million. Sampson is carrying a construction contingency of $857,000, which we have used some minute amounts of to cover some little odds and ends that have come up. So I would expect to see a sizable amount of that come back to you at the conclusion of the project. But their completion date still remains at January 28th of 2026. But they're feeling very positive about that. So move-in would probably be, if that stays firm, probably late February. Once punch list items are completed and we've done our final walks, the building would be occupied then late February at the latest, I would say, at this point.
Okay. Commissioner Laird.
Forgot to ask when I talked to you this afternoon when I was out there. When do they put the roof on there?
They're roofing now.
Are they?
Yeah, the southwest corner where the administrative area is completely roofed. They've been working over on the east side where the drive lanes and the enclosed garage area are. Weather continues to hold for us. I would assume they will be done with roofing in 2 weeks, other than trim out and some final things, but
Oh,
it'll
thank-
definitely all be dried in.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm sorry they took my helmet and goggles and vest. I was going to wear it to the meeting, but the guy said, "Oh no, you got to leave that here." So I did.
I also left mine.
Okay, Tim, can you fill us in a little bit more? Give you a heads up on the soft calls.
Yeah.
I'd like to have some detailed, and if you got a spare of those that you can,
Well, it's just some
I
quick
mean-
notes, but I can shoot you
no,
out a
after you're
quick
done with it, that's
response, yeah.
fine. If you can just get us that information on what
Yeah.
those calls are and what the association is.
You bet. So soft costs have always been kind of a squishy number to owners. You have hard construction costs that the general contractor is typically providing for everything under his umbrella. But the soft costs themselves include all the professional services, which would be MOAs, design services, design and construction services, my services as owner's representative, FF&E, fixtures, furniture and equipment, and medical equipment, material testing during construction. It's a fair amount of that. Building permit and plan review fees, geotechnical investigation and their final report so that we have all that soil information up front to design to. The city's required traffic study, utility development costs. We had costs with Rocky Mountain Power and Black Hills Energy to bring utilities into the site. Those are all included in those soft costs. Building commissioning, which is a process. It's kind of it's a professional service, but it's outside the realm of MOA and my cost. But that's bringing an outside mechanical, electrical engineering firm in that specializes in making sure that systems within the building will function as they are expected to prior to startup of the building, so that when Anna and her team move in, we're not having months of issues of boilers going out and lights not working and those types of things. So they study the documents, they make recommendations, and then they do periodic inspections during construction to make sure that everything is tracking the way it should be. And then they run a series of complete tests of all systems on the building at completion before occupancy to make sure that everything is functioning properly. So it's well worth the cost. It saves an enormous amount of headaches after the fact and warranty related issues. There will be some moving expenses, planning for that. That's I shouldn't say challenge, but it's a lot of work to get that organized to make sure that the move happens succinctly, and they move out, they move in, and they're ready to start functioning within a matter of 2 to 3 days. We have audiovisual and security electronics that are under soft costs, and an owner construction contingency, which we always carry, and we haven't touched it. I don't anticipate we'll touch it, but it's 1.9 million, and it was based on a percentage that was reduced as the project developed and our numbers tightened up on the guaranteed maximum price. But that roughly $2 million is still in the soft costs of 7.2 million. So I would expect to see the majority, if not all of that, come back to you at the conclusion of the project.
Any questions?
Just a comment. As a commissioner, I always like to hear things are getting done sooner and we get a little money back.
Yeah,
So thank you.
doesn't happen very often.
With that, Anna, I'm going to ask you if you will just give us a basic guideline on where your authority is as far as septic systems versus the county's building department and planning and zoning department. So,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So to clarify, in regards to septics, we have the authority as part of a delegation from the Department of Environmental Quality. We've had that in place for quite a period of time and has just recently been updated as well.
okay, and with that, that means that the health department and not our building department is the one that actually is in charge of design, oversight on all that,
Yes.
including variations, the different types of septic systems, where they go, how they go, and the whole works.
Applying the requirements of DEQ, yes.
Okay. Just for general information, can you tell us a little bit about what some of the difficulties that you might run into in different areas in the county when you are putting in septic systems, and what might require different types of septic systems in different locations?
Yes, there are definitely some areas that are more challenging than others, particularly when we have rock hard base under the soil. The ability to put in a septic system in those areas is quite critical. It does require a certain amount of property that goes along with having a septic. You can't go under a certain amount. We do have challenges. For example, I know with Alcova, we spend a lot of time working with them. Dempsey Acres, even, all of the county properties that you're in kind of a neighborhood, Red Buttes, those kinds of areas have septic systems. What I think we see a little bit more of a challenge is when a house is taken off and new build is put into place. You do have to start back from the beginning as it is a new system. So looking at easements between properties, knowing how the water flows, those kinds of concerns often come up. I know those are addressed through the different work. And I think what I would like to ask is that we form like a small group of people with county attorney's office, ourselves, and possibly a member or two from the commission to talk about the process for DEQ. I know there's been concerns about the length of time that it takes to receive a permit. There are some things that our hands are tied, but I'm also clarifying even further what that authority level is and what we do when there are challenges. So my hope is that we can do something along those lines.
We got any questions about that? I think that'd be a wise decision. I think it would help clarify some of the answers for the questions that come up from time to time. It's changing all the time as far as what you can and can't do, and with the DEQ and everything else. And I will ask you this, though. There are some systems that are readily available and accepted in other states, especially where you have complicated systems, like some of the ones you talked about, where you have either rock, small areas, or things like that, where you can actually use different types of systems. And it's been a frustration for me because it seems like Wyoming is behind the 8 ball on a lot of this stuff. We are very slow to adapt, and we have been very slow to adapt on a lot of the stuff that's out there. And what are your feelings about that?
I would agree. The delegation does have very extensive attachments that give guidance of what we are allowed to do and not do. Back in December 3rd of 24, there was concern brought forward by a member of the public in regards to permitting and septics. And so, as you mentioned, with time, there are things that need to be addressed and looked at. Perhaps I'm leaning back more towards my medical side of things. What we recognize of what works for our county does not necessarily work for what is written in the statutes and the requirements. And so really evaluating what we're looking with and working with and what the challenges are, I think would be beneficial, and then looking at what DEQ requires and then try to see if there are things that we can work on, whatever that may be. I think there are some areas to be able to address.
Okay. Any other questions? Great. I appreciate you coming for us today. So, thank you.
Twice today, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, we are. Yes, we are. Eileen, are you ready, or you want to wait a few minutes? Okay, all right. Well, we'll take a short recess then in between.
Serious?
Yeah. Lita, have you got any information for us yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Then we'll take a short recess.
What are we gonna
All right, we are back in session. Elaine and Denise come up and discuss this.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we're here to present the annual GIO budget and to talk about any projects that are upcoming, forthcoming. Absolutely. Can you hear me much better now?
Much better.
Oh,
Yeah, that one.
sorry,
you
I
gotta
do
get-
have
that
a
one you
bad
gotta
habit
get-
of
Well, that one you
reclining.
got to get close to anyway.
Okay. So we are here today to talk and discuss the upcoming GIO projects, the budget that were outlined in the memo that was presented to the commission. Did everyone have an opportunity to at least skim and go over the memo? Great. Any questions? Okay. To outline some of the projects that are covering the county, but also the other jurisdictions that fall under the regional GIO. Probably the flight is the most pressing. It will be taking place this particular spring, summer, as and when the environmental conditions are favorable for the collection. So for the county, if you recall, this year, there will be the imagery, the LiDAR, and elevation and contours. But also, in order to supplement the Eagle View tools, you'll also be expanding the land use land cover and then the oil and gas finder, okay? So those were the additional components that were added to the county flight and county contract, okay? Are there any questions? We have been, just to give you a follow-up, assigned a project manager for the county portion. So once Eagle View is able to actually mobilize and get the planes in the air to begin the flight capture, then we'll hear more from the project manager. But typically in the past with the flights, I wouldn't expect
Okay, so this is, as far as the funding goes, I thought we did the LiDAR last year.
but it will be captured this year specifically for the county on Casper Mountain.
Okay, well,
That is,
yeah, I
yes.
remember the discussion, but I
Yes.
was thinking that it had been last year, not this year, so.
No,
that
to coordinate with the Department of Revenue flight for the cost savings, that's why it's being captured at the same time as the imagery.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. I know we had discussed that and which resolution we were looking at.
Correct.
In addition to that, what other areas are we looking at outside the MPO? Are we gonna be more intense in some of our,
Yes, so the areas that the commission chose outside of the MPO area will be expanded from the state's flight. So those areas have already been pre-selected and are within the flight boundary as we had coordinated last year. Yes.
okay. For those who weren't on the commission, would you mind expounding a little bit about that?
To go through the process, and luckily, I think a majority of the members were on the commission. Commissioner Coates has been involved because he's been engaged with the city of Mills, but also with the MPO. It's essentially the areas up through Casper Mountain, also north near, we didn't go all the way to Midwest and Edgerton this year, but we did go east near the county boundary, and we have went west out to the reservoirs as well. But what we did do is go through and refine the collection area and remove any locations that were seen as not highly populated or being used for any type of energy or forthcoming energy development. So the area was scaled back from the previous flight that occurred in 2020, but it was scaled back only to remove those areas where it was more or less pasture or scrub, and no densely populated locations or energy development locations.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
It's kind of a quiet group today.
It
It
is.
It's really,
This
it's
is
kind
some
of,
great information and data. So, the some other projects that we're coordinating with, also with the Casper GIS and also county GIS teams, we're redesigning GeoSmart. So this summer, you're going to see an overhaul of the GeoSmart site. And when I say that, specifically the apps. So there is some new coding language that's available that will enable us to essentially develop out the applications, the look and feel. They're more scalable. They're more responsive to different device types. So because there are so many mobile smart devices available nowadays, this new coding language allows us to develop the applications so they're more responsive to all those device types. So we have a development portal open and available. We've put some of the new applications out for the users to test. And then we're also receiving comment back so we can tune it better. But we're going to continue to tune the apps as new tools and what we call widgets become available. So that's something to look forward to this summer.
okay,
Okay.
good. Anything else you'd like to add?
There is just one note that I do want to mention. I think it's worth mentioning to the commissioners. There is, I know, discussion of some reconfiguration of the boards, especially with Natrona County Parks. Natrona County Parks is a member of our ESRI ELA, and they currently utilize the ELA very, I think, intensively as well. If there are changes to the configuration of the board, we need to also take into consideration how that could impact the ability for that particular division department to access the ELA. The reason I mention this is because our contract manager through ESRI did specifically state that they are not adding in new parent members to government ELAs anymore, namely because they're not creating ELAs like ours any longer, where it's multi-jurisdictional. They're encouraging jurisdictions to essentially explore their own licensing options. But for us, it works out extremely well because it allows us to coordinate all of our data and essentially share it out together. If there is any change to the configuration that would impact Natrona County Parks, there are some, I think, language options, and I'm gonna also look at Eileen maybe for some assistance in how we could potentially continue to coordinate in order to allow them access to our ELA.
I think that would be good,
Absolutely.
you know, because that's something that we need to work wherever we can to make things work.
Yes.
So that would be good. So, Eileen, I think
I really don't have anything else to add unless until we have a better understanding of exactly how that board is going to be supported when it comes to software and
that's a conversation we're gonna
for
have to,
later.
we're gonna have to have
Mhm.
at some point in time. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I
Okay.
do think that we do need to have that conversation and decide just exactly what that role will be and how we're gonna work together, and if it's a transition or if it's what we do. I'm
Okay.
not sure. So,
This will be a piece of that conversation.
okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Coates?
I see that the Arc Pro will be the preferred platform. Will there be any service disruptions in the county moving away from Arc Desktop?
There currently is one workflow. It is namely in the assessor mapping office. County GIS is currently working with staff in order to update that workflow in order for it to be compliant with ARC Pro. Right now, we do not see any service disruptions that will occur. ARC Desktop will continue to be supported until March 1st of 2026. By that time, I fully expect that there will be a workflow compatible. And to even say that, we do have an existing workflow that's compatible. It's more or less training opportunities to make sure all staff are up to date on how to utilize the platform.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do. You guys have a really heavy lift. Maintain a lot of data that's incredibly useful to every jurisdiction around. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, I have used the system that we have a lot. I know Mr. Coates has also, and it does make things substantially easier and nicer as far as pulling things up and looking at things. So, wow. That and our county assessor as well. I know they use it quite a bit, and we look at a lot of different things when we're looking at different properties that are being for us for whatever reason. So, I do thank you guys for everything you've done. So, any other questions? It's like 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, if at any point in time, like I had mentioned, we will be releasing the new GeoSmart web apps likely in May. They're going to roll to the production site. We're going to continue to have the survey available on the GeoSmart hub. We encourage everyone, if you can, get on the test site and provide survey and take the survey and provide feedback. But we're going to continue to have the survey available so we can receive comment. If there's any tweaks, any suggestions in which we can improve the applications, please submit a survey. So we can make the capabilities, a reality. So, okay.
Or if you want to schedule time to sit down and go through some of the applications and look through them, happy to do that as well.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So,
Okay.
that would be best for most of us.
Okay.
I need a guardrail I can keep a hold of and put me through.
So,
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
thank
you.
you. Lita, have you got any?
We don't have too much today, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. The notice, I'm sure you all know that the notice to amend the parks rules has been up and published. And tomorrow night is the meeting regarding adopting those rules and public comment. Also, we have put out the notice to adopt the public records request resolution. And I believe that's on the agenda for April 18th. Do you all have any questions? Oh, I couldn't remember, Commissioner. It's the second one in May. So, excuse me, is it the 15th? Okay, I apologize, the 15th. No, it can't be the 15th, that's a Thursday. Oh, I don't know my months, but I'm good now.
We do have a question, but I'm not sure. I know Jared's looking into it right now as far as one of our contracts and some stuff that have come up, but I don't know if we probably should go into exec just to discuss it amongst the commissioners, just so that everybody's aware of what we're talking about. We don't have an answer.
Legal advice?
Huh? Yeah.
As far as for legal
For
advice?
legal advice, yeah.
Okay.
So with that, I'd entertain a motion this time to go into exec for legal advice.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're now in executive session. that from legal advice. We will be in recess until 5:30 when we'll resume our regular meeting. Go ahead and resume this meeting of the county commissioners. Start out with the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
I so moved.
You can.
I so moved to
Second.
approve the,
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Laird, seconded by Commissioner Milne. All in
Aye.
favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? So moved. We will move into, we don't have any contracts or resolutions, so we will move into public comment. Have we got any public comment?
Good evening, Commissioners. Mr. Nicolason, I would write you a single sonnet. If but alone, I could express the song of divine rapture within me. It greatly comforts me to know that across the sagebrush plains of Natrona County and the far-reaching expanses of the universe, that our story will continue to reign through time and distance for millenniums to come. Your noble, selfless dedication to the people of which you serve forever binds us in a way that is the sole envy of the moon and stars, gazing down upon us on warm, breathless nights, as you warm the cockles of my heart. The many necessary expenditures approved of by you weakens my knees, knowing full well the burden you alone carry. You are a plethora of knowledge and transparent information, breaking the silence and fracturing the fissures where deep, vile corruption lies, buried far beneath the sands of time. Your unrecognized, heroic, noble, and magnificent deeds challenge virtuous, valiant knights that have long exalted counties of honor. Henceforth, and from here on after, I will embrace my unyielding devotion and vow to stand stoically in alliance with you, kind sir, for all that you represent. Peter, April Fools.
I just had a couple questions real quick. Judy Jones, 335 North 8 Mile. How far are you guys in the land revision? And I wanted to offer my help if you need any of it.
We're moving through it.
Okay.
We got a lot of stuff identified, and we've got a
Can you
couple.
give me a couple examples? So I don't text you and
Yep,
tell
we're
you
going-
something you're already.
We're going chapter by chapter.
Are ya?
That's the easiest way I can put it.
Okay.
One example that Jared found was some real issues with our fuel tanks and stuff like that.
Okay.
There's some wording in there that's very confusing. And that's one example. I mean, it's just things that we're trying to get cleaned up and clarified and making
Yeah,
sure that,
it did need to go back through.
and so,
I mean, in 76, it was
That-
only 52 pages.
yeah, that's just one example. We were talking about different things than what actually fit and what didn't.
Well, you're not working on changing zones. For example, this nuclear facility that's gonna be out there.
We are, right now, we're not looking at the map. We're just looking at what's in the zoning itself and going through that.
Yeah.
And finding the issues that need to be addressed, that need to be corrected. And then we're looking at some other areas where if we can combine a few in some of the areas, because we have a lot of different zonings that are,
I told you guys
That-
10 years ago, you're making
that-
too many of them, and that's what was gonna happen.
and that it's one of those that it's just, a lot of them have almost exactly the same requirements. And so we're looking at that, and it's
I
like,
think it
okay,
grew
but
from
that-
9 to
but-
14 or
yeah,
something, yeah.
But to start with, what we're looking at is what the actual verbiage is, where there's confusion, and Jared, that's a good thing about it. Jared has gone through a lot of this stuff, and so he's picked out a lot of
Good.
additional things.
Good.
And so we're actually looking through it and doing it that way once we get that part of it done.
Did anybody else besides you or Peter attend their thing out in Barnum? When the
Yep.
Radiant was doing their,
Commissioner Milne was there also.
were you? I didn't see you, but I appreciate you being there because I thought it was pretty important for all of us to be there. Secondly, with that, has anybody considered where they're putting that is going to stop any growth in bar none going that direction?
Actually, I've talked with Mayor Boyer about that, and actually where they're talking about is not where he originally thought, and it won't.
Yeah,
affect
see, I'm
their
thinking
growth.
it's
It
by
won't-
the Kenworth dealer.
It's further to the east than he had originally thought,
Okay.
and it won't block their.
And I just wanted to tell you guys too, when they mentioned it being temporary storage, to them, temporary is 40 years. That's their minimum 40 years, because there isn't a facility in the United States right now that can take the waste from that. I just ask you to consider that out there. I think it's another one of those things that should be as far away from people as possible. And I don't want to open up the gates of Wyoming becoming Yucca Mountain, you know? Send us all your crap, basically. So, what about Hal? You guys gonna do anything with planning and zoning? He's already three terms over.
Not right now, we're not.
Okay. Well, I'd like to apply for the spot. I think I could be instrumental on writing some of this stuff
So,
because I've lived it. All right, thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Rick Day on the Midwest Heights subdivision again. I've been to just about every office here, from the county assessors up to county attorneys. And there's one thing they have in common, it's always, we can't do anything. The only ones that can do anything are the commissioners. Okay, so why hasn't anything been done? They're all in more garbage all the time. There's roads that are blocked. I've gotten letters from code enforcement. I built a deck around my trailer, and the leftover lumber, I had it stacked on pallets. I got a letter from code enforcement that it would attract vermin, skunks, rats, mice, to get it cleaned up. Okay, so I cleaned it up. The guy right across the alley from me, he shoots skunks out of his front room. And you can't even walk in his yard. It hasn't been even attempted to be cleaned in the last 20 years. Nothing's done with that. And he's got 2 streets, which are supposed to be streets, but they aren't. He's got torn apart motorhomes, trucks, vehicles, all kinds of crap piled up there. And I asked Lori about it. She says, well, he's allowed 6 vehicles per lot. It's light industrial. And I said, okay, that's 6 vehicles per lot. That's on his property. So I talked to her about a month ago, and she said, well, have you counted his vehicles? I said, I don't have to. 80% of them aren't even on his property. So if he was made to put stuff on his property, the same way with the one, I don't know if you remember the boat they filled full of garbage and tore it, kicked it off the trailer in the middle of the road. All right, he's the same one that he started tearing apart a motorhome and a boat and everything in a lot next to his property. He was filling it full of garbage. I told Lori that, and she says, well, he's got 2 lots up there. And I tried to show her the paper I got from her that he's got a shop built on 2 lots. That lot next to him don't belong to him. I just can't figure out why nothing has been done. They say that Heights Boulevard it's 110 feet wide. It's allowed parking. Okay, that's allowed parking with licensed vehicles. Lori, I talked to her, and there's a friend of mine that he's got a business here in town that he has job trailers and boats and they're parked up there on Heights Boulevard. And evidently she don't know the difference between a licensed vehicle and a torn apart motorhome and just piles of garbage. It just makes no sense to me. If you guys are the only ones that can do anything about it, it's been like this for years and it's only getting worse. And Lori, she told me, she says, well, you're not the only streets out there like that. There's streets out going from Salt Creek or from Midwest Heights out to Bar None. So I went out and I drove. Now, I didn't drive all of them, but I drove quite a few of them. And I found 2 unlicensed vehicles. I don't know how wide their roads are, so I don't know if they're sitting in the road, but they didn't have nothing to do with the road as far as I could see. And I found 3 refrigerators. And going out Salt Creek, there's a big vacant field out there. And they were out next to the field. Mondale is 60 foot wide. And Mountain View Avenue is 30 foot wide. And there's a block of Mountain View Avenue that's blocked. He's got it fenced. And years ago, the sheriff told me, oh, you can fence it off. You can fence your road off. All you have to do is have a gate there to where they can open and close it. All right, fine. How are you gonna move trucks, cars, motorhomes, drive through and put them back? And it's only getting worse. They just drug in a big dump truck box. The only thing it's got is rear end. I don't know how they got it drug in there, but it's drug in and it's sitting on Mondale Street. And the sheriff said, well, last time I talked to him, I don't try and mess with him very much. He's a pain in the butt. But anyway, they said, well, as long as they leave you a path to get through, that's not the point. I had a problem here about 3 years ago when I had my mother living there and they blocked the road completely. And I went and I asked the sheriff, okay, my mom's a hospice patient. If she needs an ambulance and the ambulance can't get there and she passes away, who do I sue? And it was just, that's up to your attorney. Nobody gives a shit. Except for the ones that have to live there and put up with it.
I will follow up and I'll check some more with our zoning and our legal department, but you are out of time now. But I will follow up this week with them and see where we're at on that, because I know there's been several conversations about that as far as what we can do and what we can't do. So I will follow up with them on
I have
that.
a question. Sir, could you get us pictures of all this stuff you're talking about? I'm having a hard, I hear what you're saying, but if you could take pictures of everything that you say is that you've said here today and get them down and leave them with Michelle over there at our office, I would look at those so I'd have a better idea of what you're talking about. I just can't put it all in my mind without seeing the pictures.
I've got some pictures now, but it's getting worse all the
Well,
time.
don't take a bunch of pictures for us.
Yeah, I can do that.
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
Yeah, Heather had Lori take pictures for her. And I've seen Lori out there taking pictures. So I went up and talked to Lori the next day and asked her if I could see the pictures. She took pictures of what they've got on their property. She says, that's the only thing I'm concerned about is what's on their property. I said, no, the garbage.
Well, give me some pictures. I
do
hear your
that.
complaint. I need to see some pictures.
I'll do that.
And I'll try to figure out if there is anything we can do, but give me the pictures. Please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chairman, Commissioners, my name's Doug Malsum. I reside at 2242 Thorndike in Casper, and I'm here to talk to you about Alcova Trailer Park. I've been out there for 33 years, since 92. Great place to raise my family, my kids. They love it. They still come out, enjoy it, bring the grandkids. But I just don't think we're getting a fair shake out there. We have no fire suppression. When the marina burnt down, the county fire truck that's up at the county garage, we couldn't get it started. When Kyle Sallow owned it, ran the marina, I was trained, and about half the trailer park, he always had the truck parked down at the marina in case something happened. Well, all of us in the trailer park, I have multiple hoses at my house. I have a 100-footer and a 75-footer, just in case. And, you know, there's so many things that's gone on in the 33 years that I've been out there. I know I'm beating a dead horse. I know you've been meeting with some people from our park. And I'm not here to chastise or anything. I'm just saying that we don't get a fair shake out there. You know, the trash, I was out there Friday, the trash bins are there. Well, there's nobody out there, and there's trash in the bins. Well, I can tell you where it comes from. The estates. I've been personally down there at a friend's house next to the dumpster, and has, I'm not gonna mention any names, roll up in a side-by-side, throw 4 or 5 bags of trash in our dumpsters, and we pay for it. And let's talk about the water out there, okay? 90% of the trailers have black pipe, including me, coming up from your system. We don't own the system. We don't own the streets. We don't own the water. All I own is from my hookup to your hookup. And it's all black pipe. That's been banned for years and years and years, okay? And, you know, there's times been out there in the summer where we don't have water because somebody fails to fill the tank. Well, when you have a house full of kids and stuff, they want to take showers and use the bathroom. You know, it's kind of hard to facilitate that with them. And another thing, the bathhouse. Okay, you guys wanted to shut it down, or the county did a couple years ago, and we said, well, wait a minute. You would not believe how many people from the camping areas come up and use that facility. There's people in the trailer park that don't have a washer and dryer. They use the washer and dryer at the facility, and it's run by coin. You know, you have to pay for it. No big deal. So 2 years ago, either you guys did or the county allocated $30-some thousand for the bathroom repair. You spent $12,000 of it on the roof. You guys bought the paint. We painted it because it was an eyesore. And now we want to know where the rest of that money is to finish. We've got 2 plumbers that live in the trailer park that said they'd love to bid on that job and redo the bathrooms the way they should be done. Bring them up to code. So I'm going to get back to water real quick. There's 2 fill stations out there, which you know of, okay? I get charged here just recently in the last 5-6 years for water, okay? Never was charged before because the rent we pay should have paid for trash and water. Well, that ain't the case anymore. You got people coming from Idaho, Utah, wherever, Colorado. They're filling their trailers up with water to camp. Who's paying for that? The trailer park, okay? And it's getting to be where it's not fun to go out there anymore. It used to be a really fun place. But I just wanted to come and vent a little bit and just tell you I don't think we're getting a fair shake out there. And I understand there was a comment made that there hasn't been a raise out there in 5 years. I pulled my lease I have every document from when I bought the place in 92, okay? And I have my 21 permit. It used to be a lease. Now, where you guys come up with a permit now instead of a lease is beyond me. Well, anyway, he said that the rates haven't gone up for 5 years.
Just a minute, Mr. Moss. She's gonna get you. I don't think it's on. Is it on?
There we go. Is that it? No, there we go. But anyway, I pulled my, cause it runs till 26, which is next year. And, it was $2,900. Last year we paid $3,228. So whoever said there hasn't been an increase in 5 years, every year it goes up. And I want to know why. It's the same property. It's the same, water, same sewer line's been out there for me for 33 years. And there hasn't been a dime spent in that park in all the years I've been out there. And that's the truth. You guys sent us we asked for an audit of our money, where $500,000 goes. Because from the trailer park, we pay you guys $500,000 a year. 490 some thousand to be exact. Well, in a 4-year lease, that's $2 million. Where is it? We asked for an audit. We get 5 years worth of audit. There's nothing states in that audit where the money goes to the trailer park. I want to know what is being spent in the trailer park. Still don't have it today. But I'm out of time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Who does the audits? We should know what happens to their money. We should be able to tell them what happens to their money.
We can get all that information.
How come they haven't been given it if they've requested it?
We asked for it last year. We just got it like within the last 60 days.
Oh, you did
And it
get
took
it?
them 40 days to get it to us. But it's 5 years worth of, they're saying that some of this money goes to the big picture of the Bureau of Rec. Well, how much of the trailer park money is going to that big picture? The big plan, okay? And don't get me wrong. The improvements that have been out there at Okie Beach and some of the other areas, it's beautiful, beautiful. I wish Black Beach and Cottonwood were the same, but we just want to know, this $490,000 we give you guys a year, where it goes, what's being spent on, because I can tell you it ain't been spent in a trailer park, and I'm out there a lot. I'm retired. I'm out there 4 or 5 days a week. And like I said, nothing gets done.
Well, who would know where that money goes?
We have that allocated according to different projects that are used, because you're right, that funding goes into the lake fund, what we call the lake fund, and that funds different projects all the way across, because that's Bureau of Rec, it's not individual. So I'll be happy to sit down with you later on and go over some of that stuff with you. So, So,
We don't see anything in 33 years I've been out there. Makes me kind of stop one.
so
Mr. Malsom, have you seen that document? That a couple of people who live out there took pictures and everything of the things they wanted done. Have you seen that?
Yes.
So
Yes, I have.
we've been given that, and so I thought our guy Michael Brown was going to answer that, but I don't think he has as yet.
No, he hasn't. And also, this is April 1st, so we'll be getting a bill, which is due the 19th of May. And, we've been working on this all winter since last summer with a lot of you guys and the County Road and Bridge. And we just seem to be like at a stalemate here, that we're not getting anywhere. And we're the ones that pay for a lot of the improvements out there, because you don't get that kind of money from anybody else out at the lake but us. The cabin areas, yeah, you get some money, but they don't have 157 trailers like we do. And you take $3,200 times 157, it's almost $500,000. So for the last 5 years of this lease or this permit, okay, so for 4 years, there's $2 million. Almost. Where is it?
So you're
Damn sure
saying,
ain't spent in the trailer park.
so you're saying nothing's been done to improve the trailer court?
Dallas, I've been out there since 1992. My trailer's number 29. And actually, to be honest with you, I had a side-by-side out there. Never realized how bad the roads were.
Does anything get fixed?
Nothing. Matter of fact, there's employees or there's people in the trailer park that water the grass in the park because the county can't seem to turn the water on. And I'm not here to bash. I'm just telling you that this is what's going on. And the trees, we don't own the trees. Bureau of Rec or county does. From what I understand, the county's the proprietor out there. It's not the Bureau of Rec. Bureau of Rec turned it over to the county and said, take care of it. So the County Road and Bridge is the proprietor. It ain't Bureau of Rec.
Thank you, Mr. Malsom.
Anyone else for public comment? Okay. We'll move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Nicolason.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Malsom, thanks for coming tonight. And the Parks Board of Trustees is trying to reorganize, and there's a transition with that. I think that the Parks Department and its executive director are the ones ultimately responsible for this. And I think that you make a good point that while your $500,000 a year can go into the general fund, at some point a guy expects to see some of that come back.
Exactly.
That's perfectly reasonable.
Yep.
We all feel like that, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So I know, we have some cost estimates, I think, or a cost estimate on the sewer for 4 million. We don't have that money. We know we want to do that project. We're trying to figure that out. And I think the Parks Board needs to spend a lot of time on the lake and trying to get figured out stuff that's equitable, for the trailer court, and for all the other users out there too. Cause
Right.
I hear what you're saying.
Well, I'm not
we're
here
gonna
to,
work on it.
to chastise or point the fingers or anything. I'm just trying to tell you that as a 33-year person living at the lake, love it. People ask me where I go on vacation. I say I go on vacation to the lake for 5 months. And it's a great place, believe me. But when I don't see any improvements done out there, for 33 years I've lived out there.
Yeah, well,
33.
Your comments tonight are really constructive, and I think we'll want to engage with you and your group to try to get something figured out there.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time, and Chairman and Commissioner, really, I do.
Mr. Chairman, in addition, we have a Parks Board meeting tomorrow. Public's welcome to come to that, and I can't recall, is that at 5:30 or at 5:30 tomorrow night in this room? We'll be looking at some rules, adoption of some rules. So hope that the public turns out and gives us their comments. We're going to be trying to fill the Parks Board trustee positions, and we've got a few applications in that is open. And so if people from the lake, for example, are interested in having a voice and a vote, you could sure put your resume together and apply for that.
We're in commissioner comments now. We're no longer in public
But we'd
comment.
be, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but I think any or all of us would be happy to visit with you further, either after the meeting or at some other point. So I hope we have a lot of applications come in, because I know at least most of, if not all of the commissioners that currently serve in a temporary capacity on that Parks Board would like to get off. And we would like to fill it with interested, passionate people about Natrona County Parks. Today we saw the Health Department building, and I think we were pleased to see that it is ahead of schedule and on budget, or maybe even under budget. We had some good discussion in our work session today from the Health Department people. So we're pleased that that project is moving forward as quickly as it is. It's going to be a lovely building. The Collective Health Trust was here today, and that's another position. We're trying to fill one of the board members, and so we would invite the public to apply for the board position to be filled by the county commissioners. That should be on the website as of today. And I know it's been out there floating around, but hopefully we'll have some applications that we can act on soon. So again, that's the Natrona County Health Trust. The Natrona County Health Trust, if you go to their website and go under the banner Wyoming Medical Center tab, there's a link to provide feedback. I think it is collective feedback at collectivehealthtrust.org. And if you have information to provide to their outside consultant, that's what they call the portal or the link to do it. Again, collective feedback at collectivehealthtrust.org. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Coates?
Just briefly, Ms. Jones, we're in regards to the zoning. A lot of the comments that I had in the early stage here is removing redundancies, clarifying points, trying to make things generally readable. I'd be happy to meet with you and go over those. So that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Commissioner Milne? Commissioner Laird?
I'd sure like to figure this lake thing out. And I'd like to be able to tell you where all that money goes. But personally, right as I said here, I don't know. What I really want to see happen is I don't know how many members are going to be on this new Parks Board, but they can go up to 9 members, but it might end up at 7. And I personally want to see at least one person from that trailer court on that board. That somebody like you or whoever else. Huh? Yeah, so we'll have to interview some people at some point, but I think for me it's critical to have somebody from that area of the lake that understands the problems, been out there. Like we have a guy that's been on that Parks Board up on the mountain for 30 years. You know, these people understand things and they see things, and so I think that needs to be spread out among the public so that we can get a better idea of, and you would get a better idea, I think, with this Parks Board. Now, I can tell you, I would like to get off of that as soon as we can get the public members that really want to work on that and get on this board. Because I think if people are upset at the lake and you say you were on that board, Mr. Molson, they all come to you and you know what the problem is, you can sum it up pretty quick. And I don't know, maybe Mr. Nicolason or somebody else on this board knows what happens to that money. I do know that we're kind of, we're the Bureau of Reclamation, we manage it for the Bureau of Reclamation. We don't own any of that. The state actually runs some of these around the state, and they have more money than we do as a county. And so I don't know what should be done. I'm hoping this new board will decide. I did make a comment a while back to just turn it back over to the Bureau of Reclamation. I did that tongue in cheek, and that caused a lot of issues. Well, I was just being tongue in cheek, But we don't have the $4 million to fix that water right now, and they've cut the taxes back. We're not going to have as much from the revenue next year. We're going to be short $3 or $4 million. I don't know what that's going to do to us. We've got a lot of other projects going on, but I do think that area should be improved. And I think I can't remember when I had my trailer out there. I think it was in the 80s or sometime that I had a trailer out there, and I loved going out there. Finally, my kids all grew up and everybody quit going. That was the deal, really. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Malsum. I mean, you have some good people out there at the lake that have given us documentation, and nobody here takes that lightly. And your $500,000 a year, some of it should go to improve your area. But like Mr. Nicolason said, it's going to be a Parks Board pretty shortly who starts listening to this and making decisions about this and what can be done. But thanks for coming in tonight, and you other folks too. I take it there's 4 of you here from the lake, and you all agree with Mr. Malsom, I'm assuming. So thank you very much.
Judy, we are working on that, and Commissioner Coates, a lot of the items that he discussed that's exactly what we're looking at. Trying to simplify so that anybody can read and see exactly what it is without having to go back and forth all the way through it. Putting tables in the respective locations so you can actually see what you can do under each of the different zones I think will make it a lot easier too. So, I do have a comment on the fees. The fees that were talked about that haven't been raised in a long time were not the trailer parks, not those rent fees or lease fees, but they were actually the camping fees. That's the part that hasn't been raised. So those are the ones that they're talking about raising is for the campsites themselves, not the other stuff. So because they're under different, they follow different things. So that's what that is. That's where the difference is. So I know exactly what you're talking about. There's a built-in multiplier each year right now. The way that came about was the Bureau of Rec gave options that you could either go by what the cost of living increase was every year, or you could go with a fixed rate. Turns out that a fixed rate was a whole lot cheaper than it would have been if we would have had a cost of living. So I'm just clarifying. Well, like I said, I can answer any questions later on, but this is just time that we have so we can speak to the public. The new health department is coming right along, and I'm thankful that we're getting a little moisture. But at the same time, it's been nice not to have a normal winter because they did get a lot more done and a whole lot faster than they would have in the past. So with that, I don't have anything else. So we are adjourned.